Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Skyrim. Last time we cleared the roadside ruins and fought an ancient dragon, and today we've arrived at Falkreath and I'm ready to explore it, but I almost forgot my order of operations when exploring towns. The first thing I like to do, as you may recall, is wait until nighttime and pick all of the locked doors, so I no longer have to worry about lifting keys from people and using those. Just get that chunk of experience out of the way. Well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll wait until midnight when everything that's going to be locked should be locked. And if a vampire attack happens, I'll try to deal with it. The only really imperative thing vis-a-vis dragon attacks or vampire attacks is make sure they do not kill the blacksmith, Lod, before you get a chance to talk to him. If he dies, you get locked out of one of the game's Daedric quests. And it's not a terribly important Daedric quest. The artifacts involved kind of suck, but you want to be able to do them all.
What could it mean? Return of the Dragonborn? And who among us could possibly hold that honor?
Okay.
Such power.
Well, I think that the guard that the dragon killed is the one that's supposed to talk to us. Normally, when you first approach the Falkreath gate, you get a pointer quest just to speak to Lod. A guard will tell you that he'll ask you if you've seen a dog on the highway, and he'll tell you that Lod, the blacksmith, has been looking for a dog, and you should speak to him if you see one. You then get a miscellaneous objective to speak to Lod, and it works out that way. So let's do the exterior first. It looks like we're free from dragon attacks, which is nice. So I'm going to do the locks before I do anything else, and I'll briefly tour you to the buildings. This is the Falkreath Barracks and Jail. It never locks, so don't have to worry about it. This is Grave Concoctions. It's the alchemy shop. It I do want to open. I'll break my one spare pick and pick open the door, now that I'm nice and hidden. And immediately go back out. This is the Jarl's Longhouse. It likewise never locks. This is Lod the Blacksmith's house. It is locked right now, so let's get it open. Over here, that's just the far
By the gods,
gate.
it's true, isn't it? A dragon has attacked White Rock.
Here on the left, we have Dengir's house, which is currently locked, so let's get it open.
Could mere
Lockpicking to 65. Awesome.
They say Ulfric Stormcloak.
Let me make sure I didn't get a bounty just then. Nope,
murdered
we're
the
good.
High King.
Now down there is the Hall of the
Shouting
Dead,
him apart.
but it never locks, so we don't need to worry about it. This is the Corpse Light Farmhouse. It is currently locked, so let's get it open. And we're already down to 2 buildings. That's the tavern, Dead Man's Drink, which never locks. And this is the general store, Grey Pine Goods. It has 2 locked doors. An adept lock on the front door. Pretty typical. And if we go up top, there will be a novice lock there. Alteration to 75, and we've gained a level. Put the point into health, and I'll just go to the right until I find a perk I want that I have access to. Alright, take another one out of the sneak tree. At the moment, I'm going to take deadly aim. Sneak attacks with bows now do 3 times damage. That's pretty awesome. It's the last one I'm going to take from the right side because I don't use daggers. From now on, we'll work our way up the left. Well, let me cast out a few more mage lights as I go after this second adept locked door. And the last one I need to worry about in this little outdoor lockpicking session. Alright, with that done, let's now focus on clearing out the outside of the town. With guards, really all I'm not even gonna bother with arrows and gold anymore, because I'm drowning in both. I'm just looking for amulets of Archay and amulets of Dibella, because there is a potential for them to have them. There's a conversation going on down in the graveyard, so let's go listen.
The god Archay was once like us, bound to winding mortality. But he willingly gave up this existence, that we might better understand the vagaries of life and death. It is through the ebb and flow of this cosmic tide that we find renewal, and in the end, peace. May the spirit of Lavinia and all those who have left this world and its suffering know the beloved serenity of Aetherius, and may we one day rejoin them in eternity.
It's like a funeral. I don't want to start talking to people just yet. Let's just pick this guard's pocket. Nothing. Alright, let's start here at the Hall of the Dead and work our way around the outside. Bucket and a Shrine of Archay. Now there's a lot of nightshade in and around the impressively large cemetery for such a small town. So, again, if you haven't found your 20 for Ingen Blackbriar already, this is a great place to harvest it. There's also a couple of bleeding crowns poking up out of the ground here and there. Don't miss those either. Alright. Now I can work my way back up here. Just don't miss that purple mountain flower along the little main drag. Alright, now let's go back to the gate and start just clearing our way along this main road through town. Let's start with the inn here on the left. The Dead Man's Drink. There's a fly amanita on the ground. There was a thistle branch there. Nothing really happening here around the back. And if we go up front, a broom, a bucket, and a searchable barrel for tomatoes.
You're the who cast those illusions. Impressive.
Several cabbages here in the cart that are free to take. A red mountain flower and a thistle between... 2 red mountain flowers and a thistle between this building and the next. Alright, let's backtrack and let's do the building on the right. This is the general store, Grey Pine Goods. Let's start at the top floor. I don't think there's anything up there, actually. Nope, empty balcony. Now let's start under that balcony and work our way counterclockwise. So we have a bleeding crown, searchable barrel, 4 cabbages. Really quickly, you can just peek down there and see that, as with Riverwood, there's nothing up there. And circle around and we're done. Now we'll move on to the next building here on the right, Laud's house. I'll start here and I'll work my way counterclockwise again. So I got a purple mountain flower, 2 tanning racks. Out here, a little bit of stuff I have to steal. 4 leather strips in this trough. Then nothing here except all the usual smithing equipment minus a smelter. Nothing on his actual porch. Down in front of it, we have 2 red mountain flowers, 3 red mountain flowers, and a thistle branch. Now you might have noticed the goat over there. I want to kill him and take his horns. But he's, I don't know if he's a citizen of the town or the Jarl's property or what, so... Oh, I should switch back to iron arrows now that the dragon fight's over. Just make sure no one sees you. And let's see. And he doesn't even give me horns. Oh well. Let's go ahead and give him the reanimate, punch, and
Away from me.
flame treatment. He no longer counts once he's reanimated. And now let's do this next building on the left. Corpse Light Farm. Another red mountain flower that I missed. Let's just start at the door, and this time I'm going to work my way clockwise. So in back of the house, we have a chicken's nest and several crops. Now, eventually, we want to do the gather wheat quest for these people, so just make sure you leave 1 plant right now so that you have something to give to them. So I'm just going to leave one of those. I'm going to leave 1 of each, just because I'm not sure off the top of my head which ones they'll accept. So I've left 1 gourd and 1 potato, and I'll make sure to leave 1 cabbage too. Oh, well, maybe not. There, I left 1 cabbage. No need to bother with a cow. Let's circle around the other side, and got a thistle branch there. And it's clear. So now the road splits. I'm going to go left first and take a look at Dengir's house. So here is Dengir's house. I'm going to start at the door and work my way clockwise. I'm not finding anything, mainly because there's not much to find. Now, one interesting note is that there is a wood mill here in Falkreath, and there's even a guy that works it, a guy named Boland, but we cannot do a chop wood favor for him, and we can't use the mill to cut our own wood for hearth fire. It's a little bizarre. I don't know why it's that way, but it is the way it is. So I'm working on Dengir's house, so let's get that thistle branch. And the gap is closed. Now let's take a look at the wood mill. I'm just going to start at this pile and work my way clockwise. So there's nothing going on up top. I'll take a peek in the river, but I don't think I'm going to see anything. But you might notice we're right below South Shriekwind Bastion, where we were looking down earlier. Just a pair of blue mountain flowers back here. And that seems to be it. Alright, now we've arrived at the back gate. Oh, good. We are going to get the Speak to Lod quest. This guard will talk to us.
Did you see a dog out there?
No, some wolves, but no dogs.
Oh well. The blacksmith is offering a reward for a dog he saw on the road. I was hoping you'd seen it. I guess I'll stay on the lookout. Keep your nose clean while you're here, outsider.
Oh, good. Okay, so we did get the miscellaneous quest. Speak to Lod. Pretty straightforward. Alright, here's the back gate. We'll be going out that way eventually,
Hey, you
but
mix potions, right?
not right now.
Can you brew me an ale?
For our purposes, I already grabbed that thistle. Let's just, again, check up top and verify that there's nothing there. And now, let's go back to where the road split and start going the other way. So I'll begin... I think I forgot to look at the
I'd be a lot warmer
back
and a lot
gate
happier
guards
with a belly full of meat.
stuff. Well, let's just go have a peek right quick. Nothing. Alright. Let's start at the door of the Jarl's Longhouse and work my way clockwise. Oh, here it is. He's got several plants. We got a red mountain flower, a second red mountain flower, a thistle, a third red mountain flower. Keep going around back. We find... I know there was at least one other thing. There it is, a fly amanita. And a chopping block and a guard. And a thistle branch there. Alright, let's turn to the right. Next building we hit is Grave Concoctions, but you'll notice we're kind of fenced out. Nonetheless, let's start at the door and go counterclockwise this time. A fly amanita. And nothing. Now, there's a fence around the backyard of the barracks and jail, so let's check the outside first. There's a stone quarry here. And nothing. Okay, for the barracks and jail itself, let's check the top balcony first. Nothing up here. So let's go down. And we find a couple of thistle branches. This is a practice yard, but there's nothing valuable back here either, except one thistle branch. And circle around to the front door, and we're done. We've cleared out the exterior. So now let me talk about the actual town. 5:27 a.m. Let's go ahead and wait till 8 a.m. so everybody's day gets started. And then I'm just going to kind of work my way through. Again, starting at the front gate and working my way back. Oop. I went 1 hour too long, but that's okay. Alright, so let's start with Dead Man's Drink, the inn. Like several inns, we can't ever befriend the owner to the extent that the items in here become free to take. Right now it has 3 residents, Delacourt, Nari, and Volga Venetia. Nari is the tavern wench, and she's out here on the front porch right now, so I guess she'll be the first person we talk to.
Sure spoons. Handsome man in Falkreath. A strong drink will chase off that chill in the air. I've half a mind to ask if you'll take me on one of your adventures, but I can't just leave Volga on her own. Not much exciting happens around here. You're as like as not to be bored to death if you stay too long. Careful with that fire! Sure spoons. Handsome
Alright,
man
that's
in
it for
Falkreath.
her, so let's pick her pocket. She does have a ring of minor striking, which is pretty valuable for this regular loot on a person. Anyway, the other 2 never leave, so I'm confident we'll find them inside. Delacourt is the bard. He's right here.
Need something?
He has no unique dialogue at
Sure.
all, as you can
What
see.
can I do for you? Keep a song in your heart to ward off the gloom.
Well, let's just pick his pocket right quick, and we'll be done with him. Now, let's go talk to Volga Venetia, the bartender.
Welcome to Dead Man's Drink. I escaped fighting in Cyrodiil, only to have it track me down again in Skyrim. Well, I wouldn't complain if we could string together a few sunny days now and then. Welcome to Dead Man's Drink. And Falkreath, if I don't know it, it's not worth knowing. I escaped fighting in Cyrodiil, only
Okay.
to have it track me down again in Skyrim. Need something?
I'm looking for
Until
work,
next
got
time.
any leads, always triggers a bounty quest.
Huh?
I only really want to, and you can only have one of those active at a time, so I only want to take it if it's a type I haven't done yet.
Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left this bounty letter.
Oh, but it is a new one. Kill the dragon located at Ancient's
Good day.
Ascent. So that's the 3rd type of bounty, dragons. And then I'm going to wait until the Reach to take a 4th one, because the 4th kind is a bounty on Forsworn, and Forsworn only exist in the Reach, but that means the 3rd of the 4 varieties of bounty is also off my book list. Let's read it. Bounty, by order of Sidgeir, to all able-bodied and fearless men and women of Falkreath. The dragon, located in Ancient's Ascent, has been carrying off livestock and terrorizing citizens and visitors. A handsome reward will be offered to anyone who kills it. Nenya. Very good. Let's keep talking to her then.
Yes?
Where can I learn more about magic?
The people of Skyrim don't like magic much, so about the only place you're likely to find a teacher is the College of Winterhold.
Heard any rumors lately?
Folks have gone missing the past few weeks. Word now is that our hunters are gone too. Say, if you're traveling, could you keep an eye out for them? Valder and his men, I think they were after bear up north.
Sure. Locate Valder's hunting party.
All right then.
We'll take that one too.
Need something?
Alright.
See ya.
Now it's time. We'll never be friends with anybody here, so it's time to just start stealing stuff. I'll start at the back of the main room, because the main room's the biggest pain in the butt.
When his ugly red head rolled around on the floor.
I got all of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got all of that too. Alright, let's do this back shelf now. And all that food. And more rabbit and pheasant. By my count, there are 5, and I got them all. Good. Alright, let's do behind the bar now. Oh wait, did I ever pick her pocket? I don't think I did. No, let's do that right quick. There, now we're ready. She's got an iron war axe,
Skyrim's staunch
and a
protectors.
little coin purse, a little coinage, a bucket, and here, well, let's do the top of the bar first, because we're going to have to read that. Let's sweep the top of the bar, swipe everything from that barrel. Very good. Falkreath is aligned with the Empire, and it's open about it. It's not ostensibly neutral like Whiterun is. Alright, a Dance in Fire V6. Speech increased to 90. That's right, this one is a skill book for speech. Now let me pull it off the book list and go check out my list of free boosts. For speech, I had 7, so I have 6 boosts left. 2 skill books, 2 quests, and 2 sort of special ones. A Dance in Fire Chapter 6 by Wogan Jarth. Decimus Scotti sat down, listening to Leode's Juris. The clerk could hardly believe how fat his former colleague at Lord Atreus's building commission had become. The piquant aroma of the roasted meat dish before Scotti melted away. All the other sounds and textures of Prithala Hall vanished all around him, as if nothing else existed but the vast form of Juris. Scotti did not consider himself an emotional man, but he felt a tide flow over him at the sight and sound of the man whose badly written letters had been the guideposts that carried him from the Imperial City back in early Frostfall. "Where have you been?" Juris demanded again. "I told you to meet me in Falinesti weeks ago." "I was there weeks ago," Scotti stammered, too surprised to be indignant. "I got your note to meet you in Athay, and so I went there, but the Khajiit had burned it to the ground. Somehow I found my way with the refugees in another village, and someone there told me that you had been killed. And you believed that right away?" Juris sneered. "The fellow seemed very well informed about you. He was a clerk from Lord Vanek's building commission named Reglius, and he said that you had also suggested that he come down to Valenwood to profit from the war." "Oh yes," said Juris after thinking a moment. "I recall the name now. Well, it's good for business to have 2 representatives from Imperial building commissions here. We just need to all coordinate our bids, and all should be well." "Reglius is dead," said Scotti, "but I have his contracts from Lord Vanek's commission." "Even better," gasped Juris, impressed. "I never knew you were such a ruthless competitor, Decimus Scotti. Yes, this could certainly improve our position with the Sylvanar. Have I introduced you to Bast here?" Scotti had only been dimly aware of the Bosmer's presence at the table with Juris, which was surprising given that the Mer's girth nearly equaled his dining companion. The clerk nodded to Bast coldly, still numb and confused. It had not left his mind that only an hour earlier, Scotti had intended to petition the Sylvanar for safe passage through the border back to Cyrodiil. The thought of doing business with Juris after all, of profiting from Valenwood's war with Elsewhere, and now the second one with the Somerset Isle, seemed like something happening to another person. "Your colleague and I were talking about the Sylvanar," said Bast, putting down the leg of mutton he had been gnawing on. "I don't suppose you've heard about his nature." "A little, but nothing very specific. I got the impression that he's very important and very peculiar. He's the representative of the people, legally, physically, and emotionally," explained Juris, a little annoyed at his new partner's lack of common knowledge. "When they're healthy, so is he. When they're mostly female, so is he. When they cry for food or trade or an absence of foreign interference, he feels it too, and makes laws accordingly. In a way, he's a despot, but he's the people's despot." "That sounds," said Scotty, searching for the appropriate word, "like bunk." "Perhaps it is," shrugged Bast, "but he has many rights as the voice of the people, including the granting of foreign building and trade contracts. It's not important whether you believe us. Just think of the Sylvanar as being like one of your mad emperors, like Pelagius. The problem facing us now is that since Valenwood is being attacked on all sides, the Sylvanar's aspect is now one of distrust and fear of foreigners. The one hope of his people, and thus of the Sylvanar himself, is that the Emperor will intervene and stop the war." "Will he?" asked Scotty. "You know as well as we do that the Emperor has not been himself lately. Juris helped himself to Reglius's satchel and pulled out the blank contracts. Who knows what he'll choose to do or not do? That reality is not our concern, but these blessings from the late good Sir Reglius make our job much simpler." They discussed how they would represent themselves to the Sylvanar into the evening. Scotty ate continuously, but not nearly so much as Juris and Bast. When the sun had begun to rise in the hills, its light reddening through the crystal walls of the tavern, Juris and Bast left to their rooms at the palace, granted to them diplomatically in lieu of an actual immediate audience with the Sylvanar. Scotty went to his room. He thought about staying up a little longer, to ruminate over Juris's plans and see what might be the flaw in them, but upon touching the cool, soft bed he immediately fell asleep. The next afternoon Scotty awoke feeling himself again. In other words, timid. For several weeks now he had been a creature bent on mere survival. He had been driven to exhaustion, attacked by several jungle beasts, starved, nearly drowned, and forced into discussions of ancient Aldmeri poetical works. The discussion he had with Juris and Bast about how to dupe the Sylvanar into signing their contracts seemed perfectly reasonable then. Scotty dressed himself in his old battered clothes and went downstairs in search of food and a peaceful place to think. "You're up," cried Bast, upon seeing him. "We should go to the palace now." "Now?" whined Scotty. "Look at me. I need new clothes. This isn't the way one should dress to pay a call on a prostitute, let alone the voice of the people of Valenwood. I haven't even bathed." "You must cease from this moment forward being a clerk and become a student of mercantile trade," said Leode's Juris grandly, taking Scotty by the arm and leading him into the sunlit boulevard outside. "The first rule is to recognize what you represent to the prospective client and what angle best suits you. You cannot dazzle him with opulent fashion and professional bearing, my dear boy, and it would be fatal if you attempted to. Trust me on this. Several others besides Bast and I are guests at the palace, and they have made the error of appearing too eager, too formal, too ready for business. They will never be granted audience with the Sylvanar, but we have remained aloof ever since the initial rejection. I've dallied about the courts, spread my knowledge of life in the imperial city, had my ears pierced, attended promenades, eaten and drunk of all that was given to me. I dare say I've put on a pound or two. The message we've sent is clear. It is in his, not our, best interest to meet. Our plan worked," added Bast. "When I told his minister that our imperial representative had arrived, and that we were at last willing to meet with the Sylvanar this morning, we were told to bring you there straight away." "Aren't we late then?" asked Scotty. "Very," laughed Juris. "But that's again part of the angle we're representing. Benevolent disinterest. Remember not to confuse the Sylvanar with conventional nobility. His is the mind of the common people. When you grasp that, you'll understand how to manipulate him." Juris spent the last several minutes of the walk through the city expounding on his theories about what Valenwood needed, how much, and at what price. They were staggering figures, far more construction, and far higher costs than anything Scotty had been used to dealing with. He listened carefully. All around them the city of Sylvanar revealed itself, glass and flower, roaring winds, and beautiful inertia. When they reached the palace of the Sylvanar, Decimus Scotty stopped, stunned. Juris looked at him for a moment and then laughed. "It's quite bizarre, isn't it?" That it was, a frozen scarlet burst of twisted, uneven spires as if a rival sun rising, a blossom the size of a village where courtiers and servants resembled nothing so much as insects walked about it sucking its ichor. Entering over a bent petal-like bridge, the three walked through the palace of unbalanced walls. Where the partitions bent close together and touched, there was a shaded hall or a small chamber. Where they warped away from one another, there was a courtyard. There were no doors anywhere, no any way to get to the Sylvanar but by crossing through the entire spiral of the palace, through meetings and bedrooms and dining halls, past dignitaries, consorts, musicians, and many guards. It's an interesting place, said Bast, but not very much privacy. Of course, that suits the Sylvanar well. When they reached the inner corridors, 2 hours after they first entered the palace, guards, brandishing blades and bows, stopped them. "We have an audience with the Sylvanar," said Juris patiently. "This is Lord Decimus Scotti, the Imperial representative." One of the guards disappeared down the winding corridor, and returned moments later with a tall, proud Bosmer clad in a loose robe of patchwork leather. He was the Minister of Trade. "The Sylvanar wishes to speak with Lord Decimus Scotti alone." It was not the place to argue or show fear, so Scotti stepped forward, not even looking toward Juris and Bast. He was certain they were showing their masks of benevolent indifference. Following the minister into the audience chamber, Scotti recited to himself all the facts and figures Juris had presented to him. He willed himself to remember the angle and the image he must project. The audience chamber of the Sylvanar was an enormous dome where the walls bent from bowl-shaped at the base inward to almost meet at the top. A thin ray of sunlight streamed through the fissure hundreds of feet above, and directly upon the Sylvanar, who stood upon a puff of shimmering gray powder. For all the wonder of the city and the palace, the Sylvanar himself looked perfectly ordinary. An average, blandly handsome, slightly tired-looking, extraordinary wood elf, of the type one might see in any capital in the Empire. It was only when he stepped from the dais that Scotti noticed an eccentricity in his appearance. He was very short. "I had to speak with you alone," said the Sylvanar in a voice common and unrefined. "May I see your papers?" Scotti handed him the blank contracts from Lord Vanek's building commission. The Sylvanar studied them, running his finger over the embossed seal of the Emperor, before handing them back. He suddenly seemed shy, looking to the floor. "There are many charlatans at my court who wish to benefit from the wars. I thought you and your colleagues were among them, but those contracts are genuine." "Yes, they are," said Scotti, calmly. The Sylvanar's conventional aspect made it easy for Scotti to speak, with no formal greetings, no deference, exactly as Juris had instructed. It seems most sensible to begin straight away talking about the roads which need to be rebuilt, and then the harbors that the Altmeri have destroyed, and then I can give you my estimates on the cost of resupplying and renovating the trade routes. Why hasn't the Emperor seen fit to send a representative when the war with Elsewhere began 2 years ago?" asked the Sylvanar glumly. Scotti thought a moment before replying of all the common Bosmeri he had met in Valenwood, the greedy, frightened mercenaries who had escorted him from the border, the hard-drinking revelers and expert pest-exterminating archers in the Western Cross of Falinesti, nosy old Mother Pascost in Havel Slump, Captain Balfix, the poor, sadly reformed pirate, the terrified but hopeful refugees of Athay and Grenos, the mad, murdering, self-devouring wild hunt of Vindisi, the silent, dour boatman hired by Griff Malin, the degenerate, grasping Bast. If one creature represented their total disposition, and that of many more throughout the province, what would be his personality? Scotti was a clerk by occupation and nature, instinctively comfortable cataloguing and filing, making things fit in a system. If the soul of Valenwood were to be filed, where would it be put? The answer came upon him almost before he posed himself the question. Denial. "I'm afraid that question doesn't interest me," said Scotti. "Now can we get back to the business at hand?" All afternoon, Scotti and the Sylvanar discussed the pressing needs of Valenwood. Every contract was filled and signed. So much was required, and there were so many costs associated that addendums and codicils had to be scribbled into the margins of the papers, and those had to be re-signed. Scotti maintained his benevolent indifference, but he found that dealing with the Sylvanar was not quite the same as dealing with a simple, sullen child. The voice of the people knew certain practical, everyday things very well: the yields of fish, the benefits of trade, the condition of every township and forest in his province. "We will have a banquet tomorrow night to celebrate this commission," said the Sylvanar at last. Best make it tonight, replied Scotty. We should leave with Cyrodiil with the contracts tomorrow, so I'll need a safe passage to the border. We best not waste any more time. Agreed, said the Sylvanar, and called for his Minister of Trade to put his seal on the contracts and arrange for the feast. Scotty left the chamber and was greeted by Bast and Juris. Their faces showed the strain of maintaining the illusion of unconcern for too many hours. As soon as they were out of sight of the guards, they begged Scotty to tell them all. When he showed them the contract, Bast began weeping with delight. Anything about the Sylvanar that surprised you? Asked Juris. I hadn't expected him to be half my height. Was he? Juris looked mildly surprised. He must have shrunk since I tried to have an audience with him earlier. Maybe there is something to all that nonsense about him being affected by the plight of his people.
Of Skyrim,
And there we go.
fight all our lives.
Alright,
Southern
let's
guard beckons,
keep going in the main
none
room
of
for
us
now.
dies.
You'll notice this is much easier than before, because we've got
But this land is ours,
our
and we'll see
sneaky
it
boots
right
and
free.
our
Of the scourge that has
stealth
sullied
perk
our hopes
and
our
100 sneak, just in terms of the raw skill. That's my carry weight. Oh, it's fine. Not that I even really care, with my horse easily accessible at all times. But, I'm probably going to end the video after I clear out the inn, and I'm just going to go outside and pause. I'm not going to waste time with any extra offloads. I'm just going to wait until I've really cleaned out the entire town, and I'll do it then. We got another book here, The Holds of Skyrim. That is not new to us. The only other bit here in the center are those cast iron pots. Now let's do the other little pieces.
This is a local favorite and
One more
first songs
table.
I ever learned. Ragnar the Red. Oh, there once was a hero named Ragnar the Red.
Okay, now let's start the bedrooms.
And the
Do the
braggart did
rentable
swagger
ones
in
first.
as he told of both battles in Goldie made. But then he went quiet
And
dead when he met
the
the
other
shield maiden Matilda,
rentable
who
room.
said,
Just a bunch of junk.
"Oh, you
Nothing exciting.
lie and
You'll
you
notice I
drink
skipped
rum
taking a
Now I
torch
think
out of the
it's
other
high time
chest.
that you lie down
Now
and
let's
weep."
search Volga's bedroom.
So then came clashing and slashing of steel
Unlike
as the brave lass Matilda
Delphine
charged
back in
full of
Riverwood,
zeal.
she won't stalk us into here, so
And the braggart named
you've
Ragnar,
probably noticed,
boastful no more.
as I promised, things are getting faster.
When
Even
his
this
ugly
kind of
red head
stuff.
rolled around.
Much faster than it was at the beginning. Alright, that's that. Dead Man's Drink is clear. Let's head back outside. Next, I want to do Grey Pine Goods. I will take care of one thing right quick. During the day, Grey Pine Goods has two inhabitants, Boland and Soloff. And I just realized if I'm staying in town, I can just go ahead and pick up all of this stuff. As long as I don't offload, I'll certainly have it on me. So, Boland works the wood mill during the day, so let's go talk to him.
You'll find my brother Solaf and I are the only true Nords in Falkreath. That Valga Benicia is a gossip and a troublemaker. You'll find my brother Solaf and I are the only true Nords in
I
Falkreath.
think he had one line that
Need
I
something?
missed.
Yeah?
Well, let's pick his pocket anyway.
Yes? Yes?
Well, okay. Let me see then. Yeah, we'll do Grey Pine Goods next.
Hola, Legagan.
We'll wait until the next video to do it.
Try not to judge Falkreath too harshly, visitor. The war has been won.
Let's see if I can figure out what Boland's missing line was. So, much like Dead Man's Drink, there's no way to make friends with people here, so... I guess I'll go ahead and... no, I'll hold off. I'm going to end the video here, mostly because I'm ready to go to dinner, but I think it's been nearly an hour. This has been Let's Play Skyrim. We're just working on Falkreath. We've cleared out the outside, and we've cleared out Dead Man's Drink, and we're just continuing. We'll start at Grapine Goods next time. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Oh, and, by the way, that first line from Boland was, "A hearty welcome to Falkreath. All of Skyrim's true sons are welcome here." He said that because I was a Nord. He has a different line if, you're not a Nord. But anyway, next time, Grapine Goods, then onward. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.